Does that work for you?
Hi, everybody.
Oh
I'm
my god.
Shokwa Martins, and this is Smooth Breakfast. Let's see if you will stay up.
Okay, just do what you gotta do then.
Nah, you
It's
have
not.
to raise it.
It's not trying for me. You know what? I'll just hold it.
For how long do you want to hold it?
Okay.
Just do what's convenient for
All
you.
right. This will have to be it.
I think that they need to.
Guys, I'm increasing the. Okay, you don't have your.
You first. First Bank.
All right, here we are, gone past 7:30 for a hump of the week Wednesday morning, and I only know what day it is currently because of the two analysts in the studio with me, Devo and Lakunle. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for a Wednesday morning edition of Freshly Pressed. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning, people. Good morning, Shope. Good morning, Nigeria.
So excited. Hi, Devo. How you doing?
Good morning, Lagos.
Devo, say that
Morning.
again. Good
Good morning,
morning.
Lagos. Shops, Lakunle, and the surprise inside the studio.
Visitor.
Cool. How many parties will we jump to?
Righty ho. Thank you very much for that topical greeting of the morning. And of course, we've got you. Do remember you can use the hashtag freshly pressed 981 up on Twitter. You can send your WhatsApp messages in 20809 440 981. And we are streaming live right now up on youtube.com/ smooth 981 FM Lagos. Okay, so let's get into the stories of the day. And for today, we're starting off with court rulings and protests from the Premium Times. Despite court ruling, I remain Ebonyi governor, says Umahi. Now, the governor has said, Governor David Umahi has said that he remains the governor of Ebonyi State despite Tuesday's Federal High Court judgment, which sacked him from office. Now, he's citing precedent, saying that there were two similar cases previously that related to the defection of state governors to other parties in his state, in Ebonyi and in Zamfara states. While the judgment on Tuesday gave that Judge Ian Echo, who ordered the governor and his deputy to vacate office, said that the votes in any election in Nigeria are to political parties and not the candidates themselves. Devo, this is such an interesting story, and
It is.
people have just been watching every single minute detail of this. Tell us your thoughts. I mean, what do you say in response to what David Umahi has said?
Well, one thing I should say is hold your popcorn. This election year is going to be an excitement because, I mean, coming from last week's brouhaha with women at the National Assembly, this week we're already talking about yesterday. People were running to me, they've unseated somebody. I'm like, what? But you see, we need to, as we chew our popcorn, we need to participate. And in this instance, what happened was there was a court ruling, federal high court ruling, against the Ebonyi State Governor, that's David Umahi, unseating him on the basis of his defection from PDP to APC.
APC.
Now, he started reacting, a quick reaction to it. He had said that he filed, that he was telling his people in Ebonyi to keep calm and that this judgment would not stand and that it was done in error. So first of all, he said he's taken a few steps and he's made a few claims, and it's good that we hear these claims before we even take our own judgment. One, he said they filed a petition against the judge who ruled this judgment to the Nigerian Judicial Council, saying that the judge lacked the powers to remove him as a governor, since he was still covered by the immunity clause that no judgment or litigation should take place against the governor, as long as it's not a pre-election or tribunal matter, which there was a time it was agreed within our country that such judgments should take place quickly because that led long time ago to the historical different calendar years when governors were opted, or would I say ruled out because of issues that happened during the election. So it was said that within 6 months of any election, all election issues should be ruled on. Now, he also referenced two similar cases of defection in Ebonyi and Zamfara that they were done, ruled in favor of the governors, and they didn't have to leave. Now that's the actual part that I wish we had more time on, because there's so many references for defection in Nigeria, although each of them are kind of different in nature and character. Now, he said even if this High Court ruling stands, that he will move to the appeal courts and hope to get it overturned, and if not, if necessary, he will move on to the Supreme Courts. Now, he later also added that this judge that ruled that they have petitioned against had about 10 cases against his administration, and he was saying that this was not good for the judiciary, that if judgments could be purchased, it would not be good for a democracy. Now, like I said,
Oh, he
our
went there.
history, yes, is percolated with a lot of what we refer to as carpet crossing, both at the gubernatorial level and also at the legislature.
Very
People
true.
just up and cross over. Now, our constitution does state instances where defection can take place. One, in an instance where there's a crisis within the party, and also where there's party division. And most times you'll need to judge it on that was there this going on within that party at the moment for the governor or the legislature should have crossed. Well, what has happened is that many instances people have won in their favor, and hence because of that it has continued. If you reference what you just said before we started about the court ruling during the Amechi and Umahi case, whereby they said that it was a party that ruled. I remember that time there was a dissenting vote against that. However, Amechi won that case and got back his seat. Now, so what is to happen? Either the judiciary stands up and takes a very fine position on this, or the legislator also does their job and does something about it. Because if you remember, in the last 68 rulings, the issue of carpet crossing was rejected. And that was the opportunity that we had to make this lasting, because the principle of carpet crossing is actually very simple. On the ballot, on the ballot sheet, what you see is the party logo, and literally beyond the party logo, it's the party that produces you, that nominates you, that puts together resources, both man and funding, to be able to bring you out. And then on your own, you just get up and say, well, I'm going to carry what we have won and place it on another party. So there is a philosophy and a logic to it. However, what I would say is this: that it happens and that it has succeeded to this point does not mean it is right.
All right. Well, Devo, thank you for that. Send your comments in because I can see them coming in already. Hashtag Freshly Pressed 981 on Twitter and tag us in at Smooth981FM. And going over to WhatsApp, Raymond in from Festac says, or Michael from Satellite rather, says Umahi has no business in the government house. He got elected as a governor on the strength of PDP. If not, he would not have gotten any votes. The vote belongs to the party and not to him, says Michael. Whilst Yinka Bolu says the former governor, David Umahi, can't be saying he remains in office, citing precedents based on previous judgments on similar cases. Well, if he's listening, it's not his job to cite precedent, but that of his lawyers to prove in court. My anger is how he latched on to the immunity clause. He goes on to say, people of the state, over to you. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. In still with the Premium Times, Buhari writes National Assembly seeks amendment of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. Here we go again. All right, so Lakone, I'm taking this over to you for your thoughts on what the president has done now.
Okay, so we all know the history of this big elephant, as it were, the Electoral Act. We know all the story that went behind the scene, the negotiations, the threats, the bullying, and all that went into making the bill an act. And even when then the president refused, or rather, what word should I use apart from refuse that makes it a bit more civil? However, let's just go on. So even when the president didn't sign at that time, there was a lot of pressure on him, and everybody was pointing at him that it is because his party and him have an ulterior motive, blah, 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 blah. And even when he was signing, he said that he was signing, but he's still going to make comments that they are still part of the bill that time that needs to be amended. And this is
Specific
and
reference to
specifically
this
it makes
clause and
specific reference to this
subsection.
clause. So he's written a letter to the National Assembly now to say, look, what I said, I'm bringing it now in writing. Please um, amend it. And the president is fighting on the side that, look, you cannot say that I appoint somebody into office, then the person cannot be a delegate, cannot be voted for, cannot vote at the party congress, or run for or want to run for office while still an elected officer. Morally, you would say, how would you be able to focus on doing two things at the same time? Maybe, for example, you are a minister and then you want to be governor in your state. Wanting to be governor in your state will mean that you have to be more present in your state, putting your campaign strategy and all that together. Working as a minister will probably mean then that you have to be in Abuja and oversee your ministry and all that. So can one individual do these two things together? That's
So,
moral.
luckily, why do you think the president is so focused on this, and how far exactly do you think this is going? The amendment, his fight for this amendment is going to go, considering the fact that he had to sign it in anyway.
Now, the president has done what he thinks he should do as a Nigerian, and the one that has the privilege to be able to do this. Every Nigerian has a right to lobby the National Assembly to get anything made into a law. It is the power of lobby and the influence you have, and that's the power and the opportunity and the privilege the president is exercising. Now it is left in the hands of the National Assembly members, the Senate, and the House of Rep to accede to it or leave the act as it is. And you can guess that, of course, because we know that everybody in that place, myself first, in politics, my interest is permanent. Everything else is what I'm able to negotiate and get away from you or get more. And that's what's going to play out. Do the people in National Assembly, do they think that their positions are threatened by this current statement of the act? If it is yes, they will not change this thing. If they don't think it is, we will see it being amended. For example, we know that governors these days, when they finish their 8 years of 2 terms, they reserve a senatorial seat for themselves from their respective states. It means that the sitting senator um, for that zone, as at that time, automatically goes home. So if the senator feels threatened by that, then the first thing he's going to do is to ensure that this stays, so that the governor cannot do that to him. And so that's where we are now. It's a power of lobby, and we will see the lobby go as it goes on. But I can bet that this clause is not going to leave before 2023. 2023.
Now, speaking about the power of lobbying, we've got this news in from the Punch newspaper. Reps make a U-turn, rescind votes on rejected gender bills. Now, the House of Representatives reversing itself on 3 of the 5 gender-related bills that failed to pass in the ongoing amendments of the 1999 Constitution. We heard from the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, who called for a rescission of the votes on the affected bills. Those to be revisited: Bill 36 to expand the scope of citizenship by registration, Bill 37 to provide for affirmative action for women in political party administration, and Bill 38 to provide criteria for qualification to become an indigene of a state in Nigeria to vote. Oh, we've come back to a topic that you love to discuss. Go ahead, tell us your thoughts.
Let me start with my ruling. Down the power of the other room. Because I really wonder what happened to the speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila. Maybe he got an injunction in the other room. Well, he came back with some gifts, as from their own point of view, seeing that, as you know, the International Women's Day, apart from the celebration, was wrought with protests yesterday at Abuja and some places.
Considering the fact that in the lead up to International Women's Day,
Yes.
we saw a lot of what seemed to be gender biased decision making coming in when looking at the amendments to the Constitution. Go ahead.
They were cementing the bias. Now, as you know, there were 5 gender bills that came forward last week during the review. All were rejected. Now, there were the 3 that they allowed, or would I say they rescinded, meaning that they withdrew their position on it and said that they would be reconsidered in 4 weeks when batch 2 takes place. First of all, one, citizen by registration, which means that if a female marries a foreigner, that foreigner cannot become a Nigerian. And funny enough, many Nigerian men become citizens of other foreign countries because they married their own nationals. So why the unfair position? And if a man does it, it's automatic. So they've gotten that, and like I said, okay, I'll say that at the end. Secondly, Bill 37, the affirmative action on the number of political seats that they can get in a political party. Yeah. This one is somehow the real one. They did not give them the real meat. Then Bill 38, qualification for indigenization, which I think has been an unfair position for a long while. Because I am from another state, a female is from another state, by marriage, and by marriage and even by living there, she cannot contest for a political position in her husband's own state. And we've seen how many people have lost out simply on that position.
Yes, we
So
have.
finally, that has come to. But what I wanted to say was that remember, this review is not the end of the matter. After being passed at the National Assembly, it must go and get a two-thirds passage at state assemblies. And that's exactly what has held the Child Rights Act hanging up till now. Now, 35 and 30 and 68 were the ones I really wanted them to get because those were where you would see proper representation. 35 speaks to a quota seat, that's about 35% representation in the National Assembly, at the National Assembly and State Assembly, which 35% of the seats would be given to women. And Bill 68 speaks to 30% quota, which is actually the SDG recommendation for countries to have female representation at the federal and state cabinets. That has to do with ministers and commissioners. Now, like I said, the women, beyond these five gender bills that they have passed, it's a long road to Uhuru. And what we're looking at for equity means that they need to drive bills that that advocate for school enrollment for women, girl child education, healthcare provisions, job recruitment, and financial support. This is where the real job is done because the more they empower women, especially from the grassroots, by the time they get older, they'll be more productive and more empowered to be able to play their roles in our society.
All right, now we've got your messages coming in, so let's take it over to WhatsApp. You remember you can leave a comment up on the live stream, streaming at youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. And of course, hashtag freshly pressed 981 on Twitter. WhatsApp now. Shegun says, so should Obaseki have resigned before the last elections in Edo since he defected from APC before the gubernatorial elections? Whilst Yemi from Marina says, please, I'd like to ask if there's a lawyer in the house, does a judge have the liberty to choose from which judicial precedent to use in their ruling? I ask because governors have won in cases of party crossing, and now, for the first time, a governor is being sacked. He goes on to say, God bless Nigeria. Yes, Lakme is pointing me towards the lawyer in the studio right now. I'm sure we'll hear from him in a bit. In fact, Mr. C has sent in a message saying the court judgment on Governor Umahi is quite interesting. It's a new development as it would help to reduce the incidence of frequent cross-carpeting. He has the right of appeal, but in the absence of an order of court staying the judgment stands and he should vacate his office. I'm also aware that there is a Supreme Court judgment which suggests the votes belong to the candidates and not the parties. We've got interesting times ahead, says Mr. C. Yemi, hope that helped. We've got this message in from Alex who says, Electoral Act Amendment Bill. You query whether it was the president behind the bill. Wow. You went biblical on this message. Thank you very much for sending it in. Whilst Dansky from Lagos says, it's a welcome development hearing that the House has reversed its decision on some of the gender bills earlier dismissed. Be that as it may, women who are desirous of political offices should work hard at getting them. It's not to be given to them on a platter. Oh, let's move on. And we've got this one in from Mr. Z who says Obaseki's case is different because after he decamped, he contested on the platform of his new party. All right, we've got more. Let's take a look at this next one, which comes in from the Punch newspaper. Bamishe BRT vehicle used locally built and lacks inbuilt camera. This is what the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu disclosed, that the bus rapid transit vehicle that was boarded by the deceased 22-year-old lady Oluwabamiche Anyonwole was locally supplied, has no inbuilt camera. He noted while buses procured for BRT from abroad had short circuit cameras, those supplied locally to boost the transport operation did not come with such. Um, Luckily, I'm just gonna give this over to you because every time I think about this story and this very tragic death of Oluwabamiche, just it's
Sad,
something
sad,
that
tragic.
we're not going to forget anytime soon. So your thoughts?
It's very, very sad, especially for those of us who
Have
have female
daughters.
children, who have daughters, and who are brothers who have sisters as well. So it means that everything now is not safe for the girl child. School not safe, at home not safe, on the road not safe. I think that my opinion addressing this right now, a lot has been said so much about what has transpired. But right now, I think that the Lagos State government and all its principal officers and agents should speak less to the press about this matter. I would want to see more action in terms of prosecution, in terms of results of the investigation that the police is carrying on, and the the accomplices, if there are any, of the arrested driver are arrested. And until that is done, every other thing that is said is just grandstanding, in my opinion. Then I'll just then like to go further to say that in terms of this, I think that at this age, and for the reason that we all know that we always, one of the cardinal arguments of the governor of the Lagos State is always that they want to make Lagos a mega city that is safe and so on and so forth. I think that one of the first things they should have done with those buses, even when they were locally procured, should have been to install cameras on them. Having not done that, now this is a good opportunity to get that done. I tried to check the website of Primero, the Lagos State partner in the BRT business, and I just saw on their LinkedIn page sometime last month and sometime in November, the managing director announcing that they were partnering with one company to deploy. Let me read it verbatim as it is there. It's
Very
very short,
quickly,
very quickly.
please.
It says that the company with Eon's fleet to digitize the services of the company. According to him, Eon's fleet is a world-class strategy-led artificial intelligence-driven solutions and technical services. And if that is what Eon's fleet is, this was announced in November 2021, and this is March 2022. What has transpired in those 4 months that this thing that the partnership has not taken off? If it has not, this is the time and space to work and get that thing done.
All
This
right,
should not
then we've
happen
got
again.
more from Premium Times. Let's take a look at this. Russia-Ukraine war. Nigerian lawmakers ask federal government to supply Russia with data of citizens trapped in Ukraine. Devo, I'm going to quickly go to you for this one, for your take on it.
Well, it's still updates on what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. At the moment, a member of the House of Representatives has moved a motion that our Foreign Affairs Ministry should move on the Russian Foreign Affairs Ministry to provide a safe corridor, okay, that's to enable the 300 Nigerians trapped in Sumy, Ukraine, to enable them evacuate. Now, what's actually going on in Sumy is that Sumy is near the Russian border, and as you know, and as reported, to stop the Russian invasion and entry, many of the Ukrainian forces destroyed their own bridges so that they wouldn't cross over. Now, to that extent, the bombardment has continued. Now, what they mentioned was that the Indian government also applied the same strategy to be able to get their own students out of that university. However, the peculiar difference with with India and Nigeria is that India is not pariah with Russia. They actually have aligned with them in this global conflict. And to that extent, I think there's an open window between the Indian president and Putin. I'm not sure Nigeria has the same position with Russia, like countries like Venezuela, Syria, Turkey, Cuba, and South Africa, who did not take a position during the Security Council vote at the United Nations. So you can see how the person you stand with, has an implication in global warfare, especially under rules of engagement. But let's see how far they can go, whether our backward channels are strong enough to be able to get those students out. As you know, the government has spent about $8.5 million to remove about 4 batches of Nigerians that were trapped in this conflict.
Okay, let's take a look at this now because we're trying to keep medical tourism at bay here. From the Vanguard newspaper, medical tourism, federal government releases 10.06 billion naira for State House Clinic VIP wing. This is what it had to say on Tuesday, saying that this amount had been released for the construction of the State House Clinic presidential VIP wing in Abuja, and it's expected to stop. The project is expected to stop medical tourism in the country when completed, which we have been told by the permanent secretary of the State House, Tijani Una, that that will be December 31st of this year. Well, I can hear your thoughts.
Well, like I always say, anything that suggests that there's some element of good news, right? We need to celebrate it because of everything that's around us. Yeah. So this is some form of a good news. So that the government is promising us to say that
Promising? No, not us. The few people. VIPs
they are
in the
promising
presidency.
us that
Back to what you were saying.
they're
Sakale.
promising us that we would save money by public officials from public officials going abroad for health reasons. Okay, so that's fine. 50% of the monies budgeted for the project is being released by this report. 10 out of 20.9 is being released to Julius Berger to do. Julius Berger has a history of um, quick and quick turnaround with their project. So hope that they will meet this deadline, put the hospital up, and then I hope that we'll be able to find the individuals, the human beings, to man whatever equipment that is put in that hospital by the time it is done.
Oh, that that's a key one because
It's not like you and me
everybody
can
is-
make use of this hospital. That's why I say you need to qualify it. It is for VIPs within the presidency. That's one.
Yes, they will not go again so that it will save us the
Two,
foreign
it
exchange
is
they are
not
taking away.
mandatory. That's why this will almost come to a waste because this was done currently because of this current administration's. Hi, Mr. President. I know you're over there and I hope you're getting good treatment. But this won't stop it. Unfortunately, I wish they took this money to spread into other primary, secondary, and tertiary health facilities.
Well, I would love to know what you have to say about this, and your messages are coming in. This one in from Tyre says that clinic is going to be a museum. Oh wow. Okay then. He goes on to say, my president is currently on medical tourism while the state clinic is gathering dust. And we have this one
They are just
in.
building.
Samuel from Lekki says, hold on, let me try this. Says, there's no IVM bus on the service of the BRT in Lagos. I'm not aware of any other bus producer in Nigeria. So which company built and supplied these BRTs without CCTV? And is that supposed to be an excuse? Also, BDA from Lucky says the amendments being sought being sort relates to the issue of political appointees resigning their current position before partaking in any party primaries. It does not apply to elected politicians, i.e., the governor, president, various houses, etc. The president was under pressure to sign the act before the timeline. Now it's time to create an opportunity for certain individuals with rumored political interest, i.e., CBN governor, attorney general, etc., says BDA from Lekki. And very quickly, because we have come to the end of the show, so Devo, I need you like a one sentence review on this from you. This day newspaper, the Senate's urging INEC to allow eligible prison inmates to vote during elections.
Yes, this was moved by Abba Moro, remember the former minister. However, he does raise a good point whereby he's saying that the fact that you're incarcerated or in prison does not remove your right as a citizen to vote or to take part in elections, which is true. However, in the current state of affairs, I don't think INEC has facilities to actually allow prisoners to register.
It's not true
and
that
even-
it removes your rights. That's part of why you're in prison. It takes away your
No,
rights.
no, he said
Yes.
constitutionally it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Hold on. Now I know that there has been what's it called? Issues of rights being removed once you are convicted. But we also have overcrowded facilities wherein people are waiting.
Yes, you said
for,
convicted. There are many awaiting.
Mhm.
There are many standing pre-trial. There are
Yes.
many on detention
Exactly.
for years, and
Exactly.
they have been robbed, defranchised from that right.
Your
They have
rights
not
are taken
been
you.
convicted.
That's why you're in prison.
After conviction.
They have not
Yes,
been
we're talking
convicted.
of convicted ones, not the awaiting trials.
And gentlemen, this is how we will continue Freshly Pressed off air. Go over to youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. Thank you for joining us. Coming up, it is The Locker Room at 8:15.
You first.
You didn't read the story. It wasn't for convicted convicts.
Oh,
Eligible
it's-
prison.
And why are you here?
You are not
He's
an
not
inmate.
eligible.